Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook, Shinigami. I am Uchiha Madara. Chapter 1. My dreams are shattered, but yours will live on. Hashirama. Ninja, village, peace. All the fetters were cut off at this moment. With the last trace of nostalgia for this world, Uchiha Madara closed his eyes. In the darkness, Uchiha Madara seemed to have a long dream. This dream was the peace he had been looking forward to for a long time. The 5 major countries live in peace, and the ninjas support each other, and the entire ninja world is thriving. There is no more disputes in wars, nor brutal rebellion, everything is so perfect. In this dream, Uchiha Madara dreams of a stone statue of himself engraved on Mount Hokage. He stood on the stone statue overlooking the whole village. He was very pleased with the prosperous village. Suddenly, the clear sky suddenly turned black. The bright sun disappeared, replaced by a cold full moon. This sudden scene shocked Uchiha Madara's heart. Wake up. Here, where is it? Uchiha Madara opened his eyes, but felt a sense of weakness in his body, as if the chakra in his body had disappeared. The blurry vision gradually became clear, and when Uchiha Madara saw the scene in front of him, his eyes were dull and vain. The dream has not disappeared. It was still that cold full moon. What came into view was a vast expanse of sky. The stars in the past were gone, only the cold night was left. This piece of sky is so strange, everywhere exudes the smell of killing and blood. The icy moonlight, like a sharp sword blade, brings chilling fear to people all the time. Uchiha Madara struggled to get up, and when he saw the scene around him, his heart was turned upside down. The vast yellow sand, barren land. Unlike the familiar ninja world, this is a truly barren land. Except for the piled-up mountains of yellow sand, there is no other scenery. Where is this place? Why is it so barren? Isn't this the ninja world? Uchiha Madara's pupils contracted suddenly. Suddenly, there was a sharp pain in his mind, followed by memory becoming messy. Madara closed her eyes tightly, struggling to endure the severe pain. After a long time, when Uchiha Madara opened his eyes again, he realized everything. Yes, he is already dead. However, the goddess of luck once again favored him. By accident, Uchiha Madara was reborn again. This strange barren land is the regional space where Shu and Arrancar live. Hueco Mundo. Uchiha Madara, who once stood at the pinnacle of the ninja world, has traveled to Hueco Mundo. After knowing the fact of crossing, as a generation of heroes, Uchiha Madara has a heart like Shisui. Since he wasn't in a state of chaos, he wasn't in a panic either. As calm as ever, it is still the sharp eyes, defiant self-confidence. So what if it's the unfamiliar Hueco Mundo here? Unknown, fear, killing. Even at the bottom of the food chain, Uchiha Madara still has the confidence to climb up and eventually stand at the top and become the man in control. This confidence comes from within. Madara is not afraid of rebirth, nor is he afraid of weakness. He has unshakable self-confidence, just because he is Uchiha Madara. Uchiha Madara was determined and slowly stood up. He looked around and was pleasantly surprised to find that there was a river not far away. Dragging his weak body, Uchiha Madara came to the small river with difficulty. Along the way, Madara felt puzzled, why this body was so uncoordinated, as if it had changed. Pressed down with doubts, Madara came to the river. When he turned his eyes to the river, Madara saw an unbelievable scene through the reflection of the river. The previous doubts were not accidental, because his appearance had changed drastically. It is no longer the original appearance, but completely changed into another appearance. Skull-like body with clearly visible bones. Especially the thick mask, which concealed Madara's original appearance. This look. Madara's pupils contracted suddenly, he was too familiar with this look. Susanoo's original form. For a moment, Uchiha Madara was silent. He didn't expect to be reborn in Susanoo's original form. More importantly, no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't tear off the mask on his face. It seems that some kind of powerful force is needed to destroy this mask. I didn't expect I would become a monster too. Uchiha Madara sighed softly, and his words were more of a mockery of fate. However, even Madara himself didn't realize that when he complained about the unfair fate, his eyes changed quietly. A small piece splits out from the center of the pupil, forming a small hook jade. One Tomo Sharingan. In the vast twilight, the yellow sand is everywhere. This vast expanse of sand sea, one of the inconspicuous hills. Uchiha Madara sits quietly on top of a hill. He looked up at the dark night sky, with an inexplicable charm in his eyes. Bad news came one after another. Uchiha Madara found that not only did she change in appearance, but her body structure was also very different. The chakra in the body disappears and is replaced by a brand new energy. This kind of energy, which is similar to molecules, is the spirit on which Shu lives. Unfortunately, Uchiha Madara can only feel the spirit particles in his body, but cannot see them. With only one Tomo Sharingan, he can only see high-speed movements clearly, but does not have the function of seeing the body structure clearly. Even more desperate, Madara found that she had lost her heart. A large hole appeared in Madara's chest, and there was nothing there, and the heart had long since disappeared. Void hole. It's ironic, not only the appearance has changed, but even the heart is gone. So, am I still a human? There was an indescribable arc at the corner of Uchiha Madara's mouth. The reason why human beings have emotions is because they have hearts. And after losing the soul, what is left? Empty, primitive, fighting. Although Madara is unwilling to accept it, she has to accept this fact. He is no longer the Uchiha Madara who dominates the ninja world, but an ordinary void in Hueco Mundo. Fortunately, Uchiha Madara still has the memory of her previous life. Talents such as ninjutsu and blood succession limit boundary also came to this world along with memories. This is the only place where Madara finds solace. At least, he didn't degenerate into a monster. Pressing the complicated thoughts in her heart, Madara remained silent and turned to look behind her. At the end of his field of vision, a corpse appeared. The corpse was an ugly monster. The ferocious face, distorted figure, and the huge hole in the chest showed its side. False. This dead dog is the first dog that Uchiha Madara met while walking alone in the vast sandy sea. When Ben and this beast met, there was no verbal communication, only the ear-piercing roar. It seemed to be out of instinct. The moment the animal saw Madara, it rushed towards him. The sharp claws shone coldly under the moonlight. However, as a man who once stood at the top of the ninja world, how could Uchiha Madara give this head a chance? Madara, who owns the one Tomo Sharingan, can easily see the trajectory of Shu's actions. Since his body is the original form of Susanoo, it is different, closer to human form, and more sensitive. With little effort, Madara took care of the head. Looking at the corpse in front of him, Madara felt a strange feeling in his mind. It was an instinctive call, as if it was calling him to devour the head. Why do I have this feeling in my mind? Could it be? Madara's eyes burst out with brilliance, and she realized it soon. Swallowing means evolution. Maybe, as long as I swallow this head, I can become stronger. Uchiha Madara acted resolutely, never suppressing that instinctive call, stepped to Shu's side, and took a bite. There is no discomfort at all, but a sense of satisfaction. It seems that devouring Shu itself is an instinctive reaction. Time passed slowly, and in the blink of an eye, the shadowy figure disappeared without a trace. It has been completely swallowed by Madara, and everything has been absorbed by Madara. Memory, power, and spiritual particles were all injected into Madara's body. Madara was pleasantly surprised to find that the spiritual particles in her body became more concentrated, and even Sharingan's pupil power became stronger. Not only that, he actually obtained the virtual memory of this head. Madara didn't know that in addition to having the memory of the previous life, he also possessed the ability similar to the ninth Espada, able to obtain virtual memories. Through this false memory, Madara learned everything about Hueco Mundo. The geographical space where Hueco Mundo, Shu and Arrancar live. It is no longer a city-like area with streets and buildings like Ninja World, but a truly barren land. This is the territory of virtual existence, without rules and devoid of humanity. Only by never-ending fighting and endless devouring can one become stronger. If you want to survive, you must keep devouring. Under the law of the forest where the weak are prey to the strong, only through devouring evolution can one stand at the top of the food chain. Madara stood up and looked into the distance. Compared to the ninja world that is only enough for me to toss, this world seems to be more interesting. At this moment, he exudes an invisible haki, as if he has returned to the era when he dominated the ninja world. After learning everything about Hueco Mundo, Uchiha Madara became very interested in this world. Since it can continue to evolve through devouring, what kind of power will it have when it evolves to the highest level? Compared with the power of 6 paths, how is this power stronger or weaker? With all kinds of questions, Madara embarked on the road of hunting Shu, and he couldn't wait to hunt and kill more Shu. In this strange world, the only thing he can do is to become stronger. In the barren desert, Uchiha Madara walks alone. According to the memories of that head, he learned that this is the outermost part of Hueco Mundo. There are only scattered voids here, although the number is still huge, but the strength is not strong. They became the target of Madara's hunt. Madara's steps are firm, and her eyes are no longer confused, but full of confidence. He is very clear that what he needs to do now is to keep fighting and devouring. Regarding Shu, Madara has no fear at all. Even Senju Hashirama, who was known as the ninja god back then, was no match for him, let alone these mindless monsters. Suddenly, Madara stopped. Relying on his weak perception, he sensed the appearance of Santu Shu in front of him. The corner of Madara's mouth curled up, and he said with a murderous intent, 3 voids. With the strength I have now, it is not easy to defeat them. However, because of this world is more interesting than the ninja world. Quote, Uchiha Madara's eyes were firm, and with a kind of supercilious haughty, he jumped up and took the initiative to meet the 3 heads. Brush. After devouring the previous empty back, not only the strength increased, but also the control of the body became more convenient. He ran fast, and then came to a hillside. After reaching the top of the slope easily, Madara finally saw clearly the appearance of the 3 heads. Those 3 huge monsters. Even with a mask, it can't hide that ferocious face. Especially Shu's eyes, only pure greed. With the same purpose, the 3 heads also wanted to devour Uchiha Madara and gain power. Roar. Due to his mental retardation, Shu could only roar. Madara looked down at the 3 heads condescendingly, and sneered disdainfully, you 3 irrational monsters, want to dance too. Madara closed her eyes tightly, and when she opened them again, 1 Tomo Sharingan appeared. Brush. Madara leaps into the air and jumps down the hill. Seeing Madara's actions, the 3 heads were inspired to kill instinctively. They rushed at Uchiha Madara frantically, trying to tear him apart. However, their every move has been observed by Sharingan. The huge fist hit Madara's body, but was easily dodged. Under the effect of Sharingan, Shu's movements seemed to be in slow motion. Madara jumped back, piercing one of them with her sharp fingers. Stab it. Blood splattered everywhere, and Madara forcibly tore off a piece of flesh from that empty arm. Severe pain drilled into his body, and he roared angrily, as if venting his dissatisfaction. Only the weak like to get together. What's the use of relying on crowd tactics without the strength to match them? Madara pierced the hollow's body with both hands, and said indifferently, in the final analysis, you are just a bunch of mobs. Stab. The crisp tearing sound resounded in the sky. Madara's hands pierced Shu's body, and with superior strength, he brutally tore the Shu's head apart. Blood splattered and spilled on the ground. Under the illumination of the cold moon, the blood reflected a scarlet luster, adding a bit of gloom to the tense situation. A huge crack appeared on Shu's body, from top to bottom, spreading from the edge of Shu's hole. After being split in 2, Madara then threw it aside. All this happened only between the fire and light stones. The battle continued, but the situation changed dramatically. After bathing in Shu's blood, Madara's whole body became hot with blood. This long-lost battle was what he was after in the first place. Kill, devour, evolve. If you want to become stronger, you must slaughter without restraint. Madara dodged the attack from the other end again, and the clumsy Shu was full of flaws in his eyes. In an instant, Madara came to the back of the other side with her dexterous figure. Repeating the same trick, relying on brute force, Madara tore the head apart again. As if feeling the death of his companion, the remaining one instinctively wanted to escape, but it was too late. Madara's figure was like lightning, and she pierced her body with both hands, ending the last head. After the fierce battle, Madara didn't stop, he couldn't wait to devour the flesh of the 3 heads. I don't know how much increase it will give me after devouring the 3 heads. With doubts, Madara quickly devoured the 3 heads. Sure enough, just as he guessed, the strength was enhanced. However, the surprise was much more than that. Madara was ecstatic to discover that he seemed to have awakened to a new talent. Fire style. Uchiha Madara found himself awakened talent. Fire style. In addition to the Uchiha family's blood succession limit, fire style is the second talent that Madara awakened after coming to Hueco Mundo. Originally in the ninja world, Madara was a ninja who was good at using fire style. That consummate skill is beyond the reach of countless ninjas. Great fire extinguishes arrows, dragon flame sings technique. These powerful ninjutsu still exist in Madara's memory bank. However, Madara found a tricky problem. There is no chakra in his body anymore, only the strange reiatsu. As we all know, chakra is essential for any ninjutsu except the knot seal. The quality of chakra also determines the power of ninjutsu. Now, this difficult problem is placed in front of Madara. Without chakra, he can't cast fire style even with fire style. Chakra is the energy in the ninja body, so does reiatsu also represent the unique energy in the void body. Madara's eyes burst out with brilliance, and he quickly thought of the key point of the problem. Since the ultimate purpose of ninjutsu is to channel the chakra in the body, it may also be able to channel the reiatsu in the body. With the mentality of trying, Uchiha Madara raised his hands and tried according to the seal method of the Great Fireball technique. Si Wei Shen Hai Nun Yin. Great Fireball technique as the Uchiha tribe learns the most basic ninjutsu of fire style. It took Uchiha Madara less than a second to complete the seal. Fire style, Great Fireball technique. However, when the shout sounded, the expected Great Fireball did not appear. Obviously, the Great Fireball technique failed. It's just that Madara was not disappointed, but a little excited. Because he found that the moment the knot mudra was completed, the reiatsu in his body showed signs of flowing. This feeling seems to be a tendency to break out of the body. Reiatsu, chakra, although the two are different in nature, they are just two energies acting as a medium. Maybe it will work. Uchiha Madara seemed to see a glimmer of light. He formed a seal again, and displayed the Great Fireball technique. Sure enough, as he guessed, the signs of reiatsu's flow were more obvious this time. Perhaps, the success of the Great Fireball technique is only one step away. Unfortunately, it's just one Tomo Sharingan now. Uchiha Madara felt slightly regretful that one Tomo Sharingan didn't do much except to see the high-speed action clearly. If he has the 3 Tomo Sharingan now, he will have a certain insight, and he can use this to see the signs of reiatsu flow in his body, so that he can use his spiritual power better. However, Madara's eyes still contain a confident self-confidence. As the strongest of the Uchiha clan, a man who once stood at the top of the ninja world, how could this kind of question trouble him? Uchiha Madara made a mudra with both hands and cast Great Fireball technique for the 3rd time. This time he cared to pay attention to the reiatsu changes in his body. Sure enough, the speed of reiatsu flow accelerated. Uchiha Madara clapped his hands together and concentrated, trying to channel reiatsu inside. A genius of the Uchiha clan, he did it effortlessly. Guided by Madara, reiatsu continued to gather in his mouth, and finally turned into a hot flame and spit it out. Boom! A huge fireball suddenly appeared, surrounded by hot flames. Wherever he went, there was an obvious rubbing mark on the sand dunes, and a lot of sand was even melted due to the high temperature, turning into viscous sand streams. It's just 3 things. When Uchiha Madara cast the Great Fireball technique for the 3rd time, he finally succeeded. If the Great Fireball technique can succeed, so can water style, lightning style, and even wood style. Uchiha Madara seemed to see a ray of dawn leading to dawn. Although there are many voids around Hueco Mundo, most of them are weak, with only the most primitive instincts, but no intelligence. But Madara is different. He not only has Sharingan, but also all ninjutsu in memory. Now, the only thing Madara needs to do is to constantly devour, evolve, and increase the strength of reiatsu. The stronger the reiatsu, the more powerful the escapism. Looking at the burning flames on the ground, an arc appeared at the corner of Madara's mouth. Since the entire Hueco Mundo is vast, the deeper it goes, the stronger it becomes. Then, to what extent the innermost void of Hueco Mundo will evolve and what kind of power it will have is what Madara cares most about. For the strong, only by chasing the wider sky can they see beautiful scenes that others cannot see. Madara took a confident step and walked in the direction of the interior of the Hueco Mundo. He wants to kill the more powerful Shu and regain the lost power. With the belief of the strong, Uchiha Madara began a long hunting journey. He constantly adapts to the Reiatsu in his body, increasing the power of escapism. Although Reiatsu is too weak, Madara can only cast Great Fireball technique. But it is enough. Now he is only on the periphery of Hueco Mundo, and there are only relatively low-level voids here. No intelligence, stiff movements, no matter how huge this void is, it is still no different from an ant in the eyes of Uchiha Madara. The figure of Uchiha Madara is constantly shuttling in the vast yellow sand. He is not walking aimlessly, but is looking for prey with his weak sense of Reiatsu. After many days of adaptation, Uchiha Madara finally got used to this body. Susanoo's primary form has begun to take on human form. This body alone is destined to make Madara extraordinary. However, fortune and misfortune depend on each other. It is precisely because of its unique shape that Uchiha Madara often becomes the primary target of other ghosts. The moment these virtual beings see Madara, they will have an intuition. Once they swallow Madara, they will become unimaginably powerful. It's a pity that no matter whether the dust removed is 1 or 2, there is no difference with the naked eye. For Uchiha Madara, crushing ants is nothing more than a breeze. In the blink of an eye, 3 days passed. In the past 3 days, Madara could not remember how many ghosts he had hunted and killed. Constantly swallowing, constantly absorbing power. Even if the power that these vanities can provide is a drop in the bucket, it has accumulated bit by bit. 3 days later, Madara's power surged. On the one hand, the control of the body is more handy. On the other hand, in addition to the Great Fireball technique, he has mastered several other basic fire-style ninjutsu. More importantly, after absorbing a large amount of virtual memory, Uchiha Madara has a more thorough understanding of Hueco Mundo. In addition to ordinary voids, voids with higher levels are called Manos Grande. If a void continues to devour other voids, it may evolve into a Manos Grande. The reason why he has this memory is because he once witnessed the face of Manos Grande in one of the voids swallowed by Uchiha Madara. Even if it was the lowest Manos Grande Gillian, it had brought Reiatsu who couldn't bear it. In the end, for some reason, the other end was lucky enough to escape Gillian's capture, and this memory was naturally preserved. However, this seemingly insignificant memory makes Uchiha Madara seem to open a new door. Since swallowing hundreds of ordinary voids would give him a chance to evolve into Gillian. Then according to his current hunting speed, it is not far away to evolve into Manos Grande. More importantly, once evolved into Manos Grande, it will be another level of metamorphosis. At that time, not only will there be a huge difference in strength, but even Susanoo's body shape and Sharingan will also change accordingly. That's what Uchiha Madara cares about most. With a strong desire to evolve into Gillian, Uchiha Madara stood up firmly and started the next round of hunting. Somewhere in the dunes, roar, a wild roar sounded. This time, 5 ugly ghosts stood in front of Uchiha Madara. Ugly monsters like you are just a bunch of mobs without the slightest reason. They have the instinct to kill, but they can only rely on brute force. Compared to the 9-headed beasts in the ninja world, they are really weak. With a flash, Uchiha Madara quickly rushed towards the 5-headed ghost. Form mudras with both hands and perform ninjutsu. Si Wei Shen Hai Noon Yin. Fire style, Great Fireball technique. Guided by Madara, Reiatsu continued to gather in his mouth, and finally turned into a hot flame and spit it out. Boom! A huge fireball suddenly appeared and smashed towards the 5 heads unstoppably. The fire light gradually magnified in Madara's eyes, and finally turned into a huge pillar of fire like a volcanic eruption, enveloping all the 5 heads. Due to the slow movements of ordinary Shu, his IQ is similar to that of a beast. Even if they sensed danger, they instinctively wanted to avoid it, but it was too late. The flames were burning relentlessly. Shu could only let out a roar to vent his pain. This is a crushing battle. There is no blood, no brutality, only the strength that crushes everything. Even if reborn as a void, the power of Uchiha Madara is not something that these ordinary voids can touch. The fire was raging, and the huge fluctuations caused even spread around. Boom! In the end, the bodies of the 5 ghosts were devastated, and they fell to the ground and died because they couldn't bear the intensity of the flames. Uchiha Madara stepped towards them with a look of disdain in his eyes. Just when Madara was about to devour them, not far away, there was a sudden thunderous roar. This voice. The moment Uchiha Madara heard this voice, he was stunned, and then showed an expression of ecstasy. This voice was exactly the same as that in Shushu's memory. Manos Grande, Gillian. Roar. The voice of Manos Grande came from afar, deafening. This voice has no humanity at all, only the most primitive cruelty. However, it was a different feeling to Uchiha Madara's ears. Just like the horn of war, whenever it blows, it can always awaken the blood hidden in the body. It is also like the hymn sung before the crusade, whenever it sounds, it can always purify the soul hidden in the depths. For Madara, this roar was not terrifying, but what he most wanted to hear. If you want to be strong, don't avoid the fear in your heart. Fear is not a weakness. To be strong is to make your enemies more fearful than you. Manos Grande Gillian. That's interesting. Uchiha Madara clenched his fists, his blood was boiling, as if he had awakened infinite power. This feeling is like being resurrected from the state of impure world reincarnation. Finally, I can enjoy the thrill of fighting. Uchiha Madara had an inexplicable smile on his lips as he stood on the top of the hill, waiting for the figure of Manos Grande to emerge. Even if he is just an ordinary Shu, he must do his best to hit it. Only in that way can one evolve and take the first step to become a strong person. Bang! As the roar became clearer, Uchiha could clearly feel the ground shaking, as if a huge monster was slowly approaching. Whenever the earth quakes, Uchiha Madara's heart beats with a thud. Not because of nervousness, not because of fear, just because of the thrill of being able to enjoy the thrill of fighting. That's right, at this moment Uchiha Madara has nothing else in mind. He just wanted to let go of all the shackles and enjoy this battle to the fullest. The gray land glowed with a cold light. The bloody smell of the previous battle still lingers in the air. The quiet and depressing atmosphere brings people a feeling of despair. Boom! The ground shook violently again, and the resulting fluctuations were like a heavy bomb sinking into the deep sea, causing a burst of loud explosion-like noise in an instant. It is also like the elegy before death, breaking the peaceful atmosphere. Every wobble sounded, representing the approach of Manos Grande Gillian. If it were those ignorant Shu, they would definitely flee in fright. But instead of backing down, Uchiha Madara took the initiative to step forward. Finally, Uchiha Madara, standing on the top of the hill, saw clearly the ugly face of this ferocious monster. With a body that is more than 10 meters high, it gives people a shocking feeling when it appears. On that ferocious face, there was a huge white mask. Like the memory possessed by the devouring hollow, the lowest Gillian has a common appearance. The body is covered under a black robe, there are more than a dozen sharp thorns above the hole, and the fangs on the bloody mouth reveal a palpitating coldness all the time. Manos Grande, Gillian. Roar. With its huge body and ferocious appearance, coupled with this thunderous roar, this Gillian seemed to have the upper hand, and it could even be called unmatched. However, Uchiha Madara's eyes are still calm, like a clear spring. The moment he met Gillian's eyes, a disdainful arc appeared on the corner of his mouth. There is no intelligence in Gillian's eyes, empty and empty, only the most primitive cruelty. That slow action, in Uchiha Madara's view, is full of flaws. Roar. The moment Gillian saw the figure of Uchiha Madara, Gillian roared, and the sluggish pace quickened. HMPH. Put on shackles, you fool without intelligence. Uchiha Madara snorted disdainfully, and he decided to strike first. Between the seals of both hands, a great fireball technique blasted out. The scorching fire was like the brightest star in the night, illuminating the icy land. Boom! As expected, the great fireball technique smashed hard on Gillian's body, and then exploded, turning into a scorching sea of flames, burning Gillian's body. As if because the flames were too hot, Gillian let out another roar, but the roar was quite different from before. No more greed, just pure pain. Gillian instinctively felt angry, and it moved faster, eager to devour Uchiha Madara. Gillian looked even more hideous from the flames, adding a chill to his hideous features. When Gillian was less than 100 meters away from the hill, it stopped and suddenly opened its huge mouth of the abyss. For a moment, Reiatsu condensed in its mouth. That is, a unique ability of Shu. Sero. The red energy, accompanied by the powerful Reiatsu, unscrupulously condensed, seemed to declare the strength of this Gillian. Sero. Virtual unique ability. Under normal circumstances, only Manos Grande level or above can be used. The essence is a ray flash formed by highly concentrated spiritual pressure. Now this Gillian is so pissed off that he uses Sero. In Uchiha Madara's eyes, red flashes gathered bit by bit. Seemingly sensing the terrifying energy contained in the red flash, Uchiha Madara seemed calm on the surface, but actually his heart sank. For the first time since he came to Hueco Mundo, he felt dangerous. Uchiha Madara had a hunch. If you hit this Sero, the consequences will be disastrous. Maybe he will die. The hot flames were still burning, and the flames rose and smoke filled the air, reflecting Gillian's strength. Along with Sero's cohesion, Gillian's Reiatsu has also been rising all the way, and it seems that the balance of victory has gradually tilted towards it. However, there is still a silver lining. Although Gillian is a Manos Grande, he has a fatal weakness. Due to its large size, its movements are too slow. It is this weakness that allows Uchiha Madara to see the dawn of victory. Uchiha Madara is born with a huge advantage over normal virtuals. Not only does he possess intelligence, but he also has a human-like Susanoo form. Therefore, agile skills and a clear mind are the biggest advantages of Madara. Just as Sero was about to explode, Uchiha Madara finally set off. With the memory of his previous life, he took special steps. Uchiha Madara leans forward slightly, arms outstretched, and paces quickly between his feet. This is the basic step that every ninja must master. Despite the physical incongruities, Uchiha Madara delivers the pace with decades of experience. At this moment, the Sero that contained the horror Reiatsu finally shot out of Gillian's mouth. Suddenly, a red flash blasted out, passing through the air with a sense of extinction. The red light was getting closer and closer to the hill where Uchiha Madara was, and gradually enlarged in his eyes. Waiting, still waiting. With his life at stake, Uchiha Madara was not panicking, he was waiting for the perfect moment, a chance to kill Gillian in one fell swoop. Perhaps, this Gillian has already predicted Uchiha Madara's end with his instinctive perception. Killed by Sero into scum, turned into an inconspicuous dust in this vast sea of sand. This is a game, a contest between hunter and prey. Who is the hunter and who is the prey? The answer was revealed when Sero was about to blast Uchiha Madara's body. With that unyielding will and the self-confidence unique to the strong, Uchiha Madara finally waited for this opportunity. Brush. At the moment when Sero was about to land, Uchiha Madara stomped on the ground with both feet, as if adapting to this body, he managed to condense Reiatsu under his feet. In an instant, the figure of Uchiha Madara disappeared. In the next second, not far away, the figure of Uchiha Madara reappeared. Perhaps facing life and death, the potential in the body was stimulated, and Uchiha Madara actually used the ninja's unique instant technique. The second after his figure disappeared, a red flash followed. The ground suddenly shattered, and a violent Reiatsu storm rolled unscrupulously in all directions, breaking the silence of the night. Fortunately, Uchiha Madara is located just outside of Sero's range. He was unscathed. Not only that, Uchiha Madara made mudras with both hands and performed ninjutsu again. The opportunity to wait at the risk of life is for this moment. Fire style, dragon fire technique. A straight line of flame suddenly spit out from Uchiha Madara's mouth, and hit Gillian's mouth in less than 3 seconds. And at this time, it happened to be when Gillian opened its mouth the widest, and all the flames completely disappeared into its mouth. Burst. Uchiha Madara made a mudra with both hands again. The scorching flames exploded like bright fireworks, unstoppable, and even blasted through the entire mask in Gillian's painful wailing. Gillian had nothing to do but howl in pain. The mask was exploded, which also meant that the battle was over. Sure enough, just as Uchiha Madara guessed, the gigantic Gillian eventually crashed to the ground. Uchiha Madara looked at Gillian's body coldly, a meaningful smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. Gillian's death also represented an opportunity. As long as Uchiha Madara devours this Gillian, he has the potential to evolve into a Manos Grande. Hueco Mundo. The moonlight was as pale as the face of a dead man, and the endless yellow sand shone coldly under the cold moon. In this cold place, there is no sunshine, no humanity, only the most primitive fighting. The original roar suddenly disappeared, and the red flash dissipated like a floating cloud. With Manos Grande Gillian crashing to the ground, the heart-pounding battle was decided. For each shoe, the mask is the most important place. Once the mask is broken, the Reiatsu stored in the body dissipates. Just like when Nilul's mask was broken by Enenwatra, her spiritual power disappeared instantly, and her body degenerated into a little girl. Therefore, the mask is the top priority. It's a pity that Gillian, who is mentally retarded, doesn't realize this. The explosion formed by the dragon fire technique easily shattered its mask. In this game of hunter and prey, after all, Uchiha Madara won. As an excellent hunter, how could he give Keen the slightest chance? Gillian's body fell to the ground, sending out yellow sand. Uchiha Madara deftly leapt down the hill and stepped on Gillian's head. In this bloody and brutal night, the figure of Uchiha Madara seems to illuminate the dark fluorescence, which is particularly eye-catching. There is no huge body, and no strong Reiatsu. But Uchiha Madara's eyes held a kind of supercilious haki. So what about Gillian, who is on a higher level of life? In front of Uchiha Madara, who fights against the entire ninja world with his own strength, Gillian is nothing more than an ant no matter how big he is. The smell of blood, yes, this is my body. I can finally find the thrill of fighting. Compared with Gillian's huge body, perhaps Uchiha Madara's figure seems insignificant. But this figure is as inviolable as Vasto Lord at the top of the Hueco Mundo. By absorbing all the power of this Gillian, maybe I can take a crucial step. Uchiha Madara's eyes flickered. He was eager to be strong, and even more eager to fight with blood. Only then can the meaning of existence be found. Only evolution can prove that he is not a monster, but a human being. The moment he closed his eyes, that huge body was covered with a layer of blue fluorescence. It was the spirit seed gushing out of the body. Devour, evolve. At this moment, all spirits poured into Uchiha Madara's body continuously, turning into the purest power. Compared to the entire Hueco Mundo, perhaps Gillian's power is insignificant. But for this Shiyuzibo Madara, enough is enough. That's enough power to transform him into a Manos Grande. The blue spiritual seeds kept flocking to Uchiha Madara. Feeling the gradually exuberant power in his body, the corner of Uchiha Madara's mouth curled up. As long as he evolves into Manos Grande, he has the right to chase the wider sky. From then on, he didn't need to wander around the weak Hueco Mundo, nor did he need to fight these ordinary ghosts that looked like ants to him. The only ones who are really qualified to be Uchiha Madara's opponents are the strongest ghosts in the depths of Hueco Mundo. Time passed slowly, and in a blink of an eye, Gillian's figure disappeared without a trace. It has been completely swallowed by Madara, and everything has been absorbed by Madara. Memory, power, and spiritual particles were all injected into Madara's body. The long-awaited evolution has finally arrived. Uchiha Madara is excited and his blood boils. He only felt that every corner of his body seemed to contain endless power. Not only that, even the pupil power, which had been stagnant for a long time, also changed. The one Tomo Sharingan surrounding the pupils rotated rapidly, and a powerful pupil force emerged from the center of the pupils. Under the impetus of this force, a small piece split again, forming another separate Guyu. 2 Tomo Sharingan. The surprise is far more than that. When Sharingan evolved, his body changed. In the original skeleton-like body, the skeleton is no longer clearly visible, but is covered with meridians and flesh and blood. More importantly, his body was wrapped in a coat formed by spirit particles, turning into a layer of purple armor. Madara is no longer unarmed, he has a sharp blade in his hand. The shape is exactly the same as those snake-shaped long swords held by the complete body Susanoo Tengumaru, as if it is a miniature version. After absorbing Gillian's power, Uchiha Madara finally completed the evolution. Not only the pupil power has been improved, but also the body shape has changed into Susanoo's second form. What surprised Madara the most was that he captured an important message from Gillian's memory. There is blood and violence, a place only the Manos Grande can break into. The Forest of Manos Grande. The Forest of Manos Grande, as the name suggests, is the place where Manos Grande lives. There is only blood-like style here, except for bathing in the sea of blood, there is only endless killing. Uchiha Madara learned through Shu's memory that with the power of the previous Gillian, it was just the lowest level of Shu in the Forest of Manos Grande. Even compared to Gillian, who only has the intelligence of beasts. The forest of Manos Grande has Manos Grande, which is almost human intelligence. Fighting against Manos Grande like that will give you the thrill of fighting. Incorporating Gillian's memories, Uchiha Madara also had a first look at the forest of Manos Grande. The forest of Manos Grande is not so much a forest where hollow dwells, but rather a lair of hollow. There are endless voids here, and the number is immeasurable. Since the forest of Manos Grande spreads throughout the underground of Hueco Mundo, no one can tell how big the forest of Manos Grande is. Even this Gillian touched the edge of the forest of Manos Grande. As for the interior of the forest, it didn't dare to break in rashly, let alone have the qualifications to break in. The forest of Manos Grande. That's interesting. Uchiha Madara's eyes flickered, and she made a secret decision in her heart. He doesn't have to wander around the Hueco Mundo anymore. The forest of Manos Grande is the best place for him right now. For ordinary Manos Grande, the forest of Manos Grande is a place of nowhere. But for Uchiha Madara, it is the best place to improve its strength, and it is also a paradise for killing. As long as more Manos Grande are hunted here, Uchiha Madara is confident to step into the next level. However, there is a problem in front of Uchiha Madara. It is not easy to reach the forest of Manos Grande. First, you must continue to go deep into Hueco Mundo, and you must find the road leading to the forest of Manos Grande. Otherwise, it can only stay on the ground of Hueco Mundo. Even the Gillian in memory broke into the Hueco Mundo by mistake. Relying on the vague memory of Gillian, Uchiha Madara embarked on a new journey. Advocating strength and eager to fight, this is the belief that Uchiha Madara has always insisted on. The reason why human beings find the flowers on the cliff beautiful is that they will stop at the edge of the cliff, instead of taking a step towards the sky like those fearless flowers. Even in the form of nothingness, Uchiha Madara will take that step, chasing the wider sky. The pale moonlight shines on the earth, and in this barren desert with no rules, time flies by like the flying sand. Endless killing and devouring, accompanied by the disgusting smell of blood in the air. In the silent night, depressing despair is everywhere. Half a month passed like a stream of time. In this short period of half a month, Uchiha Madara can no longer remember how many animals he has hunted and killed. He seemed to be Shira who had returned from hell, bathed in blood, with a terrifying aura. Gradually, Uchiha Madara began to like this world. Compared with the ninja world that is already irreparable, perhaps this world is more suitable for him. There are no rules, the law of the jungle preys on the strong, and advocating strength. In this cruel world, even killing has become a matter of course. In this world, no one can understand, and no one can change. The only thing that can be done is to keep fighting and devouring, that's all. The more this is the case, the more it can awaken the blood in Uchiha Madara's body that has been silent for a long time. Back then, he was already at the top of the ninja world. No one can stop him except Senju Hashirama. Now in this gray and white world of only killing, Uchiha Madara finally found the original feeling. Along the way, Uchiha Madara's power became stronger and stronger as it was devoured continuously. Pupil strength is increasing day by day, and he is more skillful in controlling his body. Thanks to the Snake Nobu long blade, Uchiha Madara was able to kill Manos Grande with ease, not just ordinary hollow. Gradually, more and more escapism techniques he was able to display. One of the most satisfying Uchiha Madara is the body flicker technique. With the basic body flicker technique, Uchiha Madara has a huge advantage when fighting the average Gillian. Gillian's sluggish movements alone couldn't hurt him. Over time, Uchiha Madara abandoned the ordinary ghost and concentrated on hunting Manos Grande. Time passed leisurely, and in a blink of an eye, half a month passed away again. This Shiyu Zebo Madara has left the periphery of Hueco Mundo, only one step away from the place in memory. He walked cautiously in the desert without letting down his vigilance at all. At this moment, violent fluctuations came from the sand in front of Uchiha Madara, and it turned into a huge Uzumaki. Under Madara's puzzled eyes, a huge void emerged from it. The earth shook and dust flew. A sudden scene made Uchiha Madara stop. It's the same Reiatsu as Gillian. Uchiha Madara is calm, just like Gillian's Reiatsu. It's not enough for him to put it in his eyes. But for some reason, Madara always felt that the guy who appeared this time was different. Is it an illusion? Even in the face of unknown dangers, Uchiha Madara remained calm. The wild sand is flying, and the wind is blowing. In a blink of an eye, the desert in front of Uchiha Madara has become a huge Uzumaki, and the head hidden in it also reveals its true face. Has a larger body than Gillian, but this body is very special, not a black robe. The body of this Manos Grande is made entirely of sand, and even the masked head is made of sand. Sand Titan. This is the first time Uchiha Madara encountered a different kind of virtual reality after coming to Hueco Mundo. The Manos Grande Gillian I met in the past all had a uniform appearance, slow movements, and no intelligence. But when Uchiha Madara saw the Titan of Sand, the corner of his mouth curled up. He could clearly see a trace of intelligence from those huge eyes. In other words, this Manos Grande is intelligent and no longer acts on instinct like a beast. Roar! The Sand Titan roared, causing a strong storm. It's really lucky, it seems to meet a special Gillian. A loud voice came from Beisha Titan's mouth. The greed in this voice is undisguised, making people feel creepy. The Sand Titan's name is Nuruganka, a Gillian with the talent of sand. With his special ability, he has been lurking in this desert for a long time. Hunt and kill prey with unique abilities. After years of devouring, it finally transformed from the barbarism and awakened its own intelligence. That's funny, it's a Gillian who's awakened to his wits. Uchiha Madara was very calm despite being hunted down. Nuruganka could even feel a kind of excitement in Uchiha Madara's eyes. I don't know what kind of power I will have if I devour you. Uchiha Madara was excited and his blood boiled. The long-lost fighting spirit was awakened again. This feeling is like returning to the moment when I played against Senju Hashirama. You dare to underestimate me. Nulu Genka was furious, obviously it was going to hunt and kill Uchiha Madara, but the latter's expression was not only not panicked, but rather coaxing. This arrogant gesture completely angered Nulu Genka. Go to hell, you insignificant bug. Nulu Genka roared furiously, and his huge fist hit the ground in the air. Suddenly, 3 hurricanes rolled up on the ground. Don't yell easily, too much bluff will only show your weakness. Facing the turbulent offensive, Uchiha remained indifferent. The corner of his mouth even raised a sarcastic arc. The wind howled, sweeping all the way. It's too slow. It's a fool's dream to try to defeat me with this speed. Uchiha Madara's eyes opened, and the 2 Guyu Sharingan emerged, clearly observing the trajectory of the violent wind. In an instant, the seemingly raging hurricane became sluggish and full of flaws. Uchiha Madara formed mudras with both hands, and before the hurricane arrived, he skillfully performed the body flicker technique. He disappeared completely like that elusive ghost. Nuluganka was stunned, and even his expression became dull. Gradually, a hint of astonishment welled up in the depths of his pupils, and he exclaimed, "This is ringing turn." In any case, Lunugenka is unwilling to believe that the seemingly insignificant Uchiha Madara can actually spin. You know, this is an ability that can only be possessed by a high-level Gillian, and even he himself has never mastered it. Just as Nuruganka was in shock, the figure of Uchiha Madara appeared behind it. Madara seals quickly, the killing intent is decided. Fire style, dragon fire technique. Taking advantage of his unpreparedness, a scorching flame spit out from Uchiha Madara's mouth, then turned into several fire dragons, and rushed towards Nulugenka. Thanks to Reiatsu's upgrade, fire style is also far more powerful than before. Uchiha Madara is confident that one hit kills. Boom! Because Nuluganka's size was too large, when he turned around, the fire dragon had already pounced on his head. Accompanied by hot flames, Nulugenka's head exploded. However, the expected scene did not happen. Not only did Nuluganka not fall down, the split head actually healed. Chapter 11. The expected scene did not happen. Not only did Nulugenka not fall down, but the split head actually healed. Roar! Nuluganka's angry roar was already intense enough to kill Uchiha Madara to the ultimate level. He was almost killed by Haolongha technique before. Fortunately, his physique is different, otherwise it would have been absorbed by Madara as pure energy. Nuluganka is different from the usual Gillian. His body is not made of flesh and blood, but is made entirely of sand. In this world of only sand, Nulugenka is home to everywhere. As long as there is sand, he can heal wounds. Ha ha ha, little bug, do you really think you can kill me with flames? Nuluganka roared triumphantly. You are wrong, you are so wrong. I'm the overlord of this area, the only Shu who has an immortal body. I don't know how many times I have tortured and killed an ant like you who speaks wildly. I will crush your body, crush your bones, and devour your blood. I will show you the true power of Manos Grande. In the end, Nuluganka said these words almost in a roar. His eyes were red and covered with anger. Only by killing Uchiha Madara can the previous shame be washed away and the anger in his heart calmed down. Nuluganka was aggressive and chattered endlessly, as if he had the upper hand. However, no matter how much Nuluganka abused, Uchiha Madara remained indifferent. From the beginning to the end, his eyes were so calm, and even the contempt deep in his pupils never disappeared. In the eyes of Uchiha Madara, Nuluganka's appearance did not bring him any oppression, but was ridiculous like a clown. From the very beginning, Madara did not take Nuluganka seriously. There is no other reason, just because the strong and the ants are not in the same pattern at all, that's all. You want to devour me. You're wrong, the unknown Shu. The really naive ones, are the ones who are restless and impatient. Uchiha stared at Nuluganka coldly, not in the slightest of fear, but with an aura like a rainbow. Facing Uchiha Madara's gaze, Nuluganka's heart sank. For some reason, even Madara's body seemed insignificant to him. But Nuluganka always felt that there was endless momentum in this void. The more you meditate, the stronger this feeling becomes. Nuluganka's face changed slightly. If this continues, his aura will be completely crushed by Madara. Suddenly, Uchiha Madara strikes again. Holding the long serpentine sword in his hand, he slammed it at Nuluganka's head. This move was met with ridicule by Nuluganka. Trash, what a rubbish. Is your full strength only at this level? It's ridiculous to want to hurt me with this broken sword. Nuluganka is so arrogant that he doesn't pay attention to Madara at all. With a sneer at the corner of Madara's mouth, she performed body flicker technique and disappeared in front of Nuluganka again. Just a second later, Nuluganka's face was dull. Behind him came the disdainful voice of Uchiha Madara. When did you see my full strength? This icy voice was like a heavy hammer hitting Nuluganka's body hard. Immediately afterwards, another scene of repeating the old tricks. Fire style, dragon fire technique. Taking advantage of his unpreparedness, a scorching flame spit out from Uchiha Madara's mouth, then turned into several fire dragons and rushed towards Nuluganka. Boom! As if going back in time, the fire dragon had already pounced on Nuluganka's head. Accompanied by hot flames, Nuluganka's head suddenly exploded. Don't understand, you humble ant. I have already said that with your power, you can't kill me. No matter how strong the flame is, it can't burn my body. As the body continued to absorb the sand, Nuluganka's head was about to heal again, as if he really had an immortal body. Uchiha Madara's eyes flickered. From the process of fighting just now, he had already analyzed Nuluganka's weakness. Water. As long as Nuluganka's body was immersed in water, he could never heal again. Uchiha Madara sneered disdainfully. Unknown Shu, why do you think I only know fire style? He makes mudras with his hands and performs water style ninjutsu. Water style, water dragon bomb. In this world formed by spirits, Uchiha Madara, relying on the Reiatsu in his body, unexpectedly condenses a majestic water dragon out of thin air. Looking at the majestic water dragon in front of him, Nuluganka's eyes dimmed. At this moment, he really felt desperate. In Nuluganka's eyes, the huge water dragon was getting closer. At this moment, in the eyes, the previous arrogance disappeared, leaving only endless despair. This is water. Why? He has such abilities. Nuluganka said this almost in a trembling way. The reason why he can run rampant in this area is that there is almost no water source in Hueco Mundo. From a mindless emptiness, after countless years of devouring, it finally came to this step but was destroyed in one go. Desperate, unwilling, crazy. Nuluganka's eyes were red and his emotions were out of control. He swung his arms and grabbed Uchiha Madara. Even if it dies, it will pull Madara to die together. Facing the huge palm that blocked the sky, Uchiha Madara was unexpectedly calm. He had no intention of evading, and even planned to fight back. Uchiha Madara clasped her arms and stared at Nuluganka contemptuously. Without too many words, that cold gaze is enough to explain everything. Who do you want to show that arrogant look to? It is not allowed, you will never be allowed to be arrogant in front of me, a humble little bug. Nuluganka roared at the top of his lungs, and the madness in his eyes became more and more intense. A little closer, just a little closer, and my palm can touch his body. In this way, I can crush him to pieces. With almost crazy thoughts, Nuluganka tried his best to touch Uchiha Madara's body. However, almost within reach, the palm that covered the sky stopped in front of Uchiha Madara. At the same time, the expression on Nuluganka's face was dull, and that crazy smile that contained madness was also frozen forever. The water dragon bomb hit his head fiercely, like a sudden downpour, pouring fiercely on Nuluganka's head. The head formed by the condensed sand melted at a speed visible to the naked eye, and finally turned into a cloud of mud. Just like a flash of fireworks, it disappears in the brilliance. Due to the melting of the skull and the shattering of the mask, Nuluganka's body lost the support of spiritual power and fell apart in an instant. He just disappeared forever with unwillingness and despair. Boom! Countless sand and dust fell from the sky, covering this barren land with a thick layer of gravel. The death of Nuluganka is as inconspicuous as the fate of thousands of heads in Hueco Mundo, and it only adds a touch of bleakness to this lonely world with only sand. This is the so-called reincarnation. You have evolved to this level, haven't you learned anything from the killings in the past? Uchiha Madara stared at the ground coldly, without any waves in her calm eyes. The ending of Nuluganka is very sad, but there is nothing worthy of pity. The law of the jungle is the eternal theme of Hueco Mundo. If you can't adapt to this cruel forest rule, you will eventually face the fate of being eliminated and ruthlessly swallowed. If you don't have a certain courage, if you can't maintain a strong heart, you will only be a wedding dress, turning into a spirit child in another body. In the dark and dull days, don't let the cruel fate succeed easily. Since fate tries to torture and humiliate us, we should take revenge with a strong attitude. This is the so-called will of the strong. It's really sad. Then, it should be within the range of the Manos Grande forest. It's just that I can't seem to find a way to enter the underground, which is really troublesome. Uchiha Madara looked around and saw nothing but yellow sand. Not to mention the underground passage, not even a trace of shoe can be seen. This endless desert is like an endless sea of Wangyang. Uchiha Madara is like a flat boat floating on the sea, without purpose. Where is the way forward? Uchiha Madara could not be found. At this moment, there was a sudden violent vibration from the place where Nuluganka had turned into gravel. The earth trembled, the sand and dust flew up, and the originally static gravel flowed according to a certain law. With the rotation of sand streams, an Uzumaki appeared on the ground out of thin air. Oops, it turned out to be a sandstorm. Uchiha Madara's face changed slightly, he seemed to feel a strong gravitational force erupting from the sand Uzumaki. Unprepared, Uchiha Madara's body lost balance and was caught in the sand Uzumaki. Uchiha Madara's body eventually disappears to the ground as the arms are engulfed in dust. The sudden change caused Uchiha Madara's body to be sucked into the sand Uzumaki. The earth collapsed, the gravel rolled, and Uzumaki grew bigger and bigger, and finally poured down like a waterfall. After a deafening sound, the barren land returned to calm, as if nothing had happened. Under the desert, gravel falls. Uchiha Madara's body was sucked into the mudslide, because the eyes were covered by the yellow sand, and the surroundings were dark. For a moment, he couldn't open his eyes. Boom! Uchiha only felt his body floating in midair, falling with the sand. After an unknown period of time, the majestic mudslide finally reached the bottom. The thick sand piled up into mountains, forming a small mound, and Uchiha Madara's body just fell on top of this mound. Here is. Uchiha Madara frowned slightly, and the double hooks around his pupils slowly turned. He looked around vigilantly, with an unhappy expression on his face. It's too dark here, you can't see your fingers. If it is not for the two-tomo Sharingan, it is difficult to clearly sense the surrounding things. Is this the legendary Manos Grande forest? A scene suddenly flashed in Uchiha Madara's mind. During the previous fall, he opened his eyes for an instant, only to see the familiar figure of Gillian. However, there are many Gillians, in groups. In Hueco Mundo, there is only one place that can gather a large number of voids, and that is the Manos Grande forest. But this scene passed in a flash, so Uchiha Madara is not sure if this is the Manos Grande forest. After all, he only knows this place with a vague memory. Anyway, let's go along this road to the end first. For this strange and dark place, Uchiha Madara is not afraid, but has an inexplicable excitement. This is a natural intuition. As a hunter who is good at hunting, his intuition tells him that this is the best hunting place. Uchiha Madara still believes in her intuition. After all, the fighting instinct cannot be honed overnight. This keen perception can only be possessed by stepping on countless corpses. Taking firm steps, Uchiha Madara walked calmly in the dark passage. Perhaps it was because the footsteps he made were too loud, or because the place was too quiet. There was an echo. The moment the echo sounded, Uchiha Madara felt that something was wrong. Sure enough, the next moment, a familiar roar sounded. Roar. This voice is the voice of a virtual roar. A stone stirred up thousands of waves, and when this roar sounded, there were echoing roars from other corners. The roars came one after another, incessantly. It's like the death-killing soul sound from the depths of hell, which makes people's hair stand on end. Only Uchiha Madara can keep calm. As an ordinary person, he would have been scared to pee by the endless roar. It's so interesting, it's finally here. Manos Grande Forest. Even though surrounded by Manos Grande, Uchiha Madara still didn't back down in the slightest, but his eyes were full of fanatical fighting spirit. He worked so hard to come here, not to escape from fear, but purely to kill. Only by killing can Uchiha Madara have the feeling of blood boiling. Amidst the terrifying roar, Manos Grande's footsteps approached gradually. Every step they take will cause the ground to shake. But this vibrating sound is the most beautiful note in Uchiha Madara's ears. Only battle can sing the most beautiful melody. Only blood can embellish the most dazzling notes. It's unbelievable that the number of ghosts is so huge, but... Uchiha Madara paused, and an excited smile rose from the corner of his mouth. Come, brutes, show me the horrors of the Manos Grande forest. At this moment, Uchiha Madara seemed to return to that night in the Valley of the End. Even in Susanoo's form, he regained the lost feeling. Immediately afterwards, Uchiha Madara made a wild move. He formed a yin seal, and even performed fire-style ninjutsu towards the darkness that could not be seen. Fire-style Howlong fire technique. The fire dragon formed by the condensed flames roared out with such a great momentum that it even covered Manos Grande's roar for a while. With the fire shining, Uchiha Madara finally saw a scene that pleased him. Appearing in front of him were a dozen gigantic Gillians. While Uchiha Madara's gaze was on them, Gillian noticed Madara at the same time. Next, the actions of the Gillians surprised Madara. At the same time, they opened the huge mouth of the abyss, and the red flash slowly condensed in it. Dozens of Sero, more than a dozen red flashes, like ghost fire flickering in the dark night, instantly illuminated the darkness. So many Sero. No matter how confident Uchiha Madara is, he has to be cautious. Once hit by more than a dozen Sero at the same time, the consequences would be disastrous. Still, that doesn't hold Uchiha Madara back. As time passed, the red light became brighter and brighter. When the red light condenses to the peak, it also means the coming of death. Sero. The sea of light formed by more than a dozen red flashes is menacing, as if it wants to swallow Uchiha Madara's tiny figure. At this critical moment, the double hook jade in Uchiha Madara's eyes turned quickly, catching the trajectory of the red light. Snapped. Uchiha Madara formed a mudra with his hands, and his palm slammed on the ground. Earth-style earth flow wall. Condensed by Reiatsu, a fully 5-meter high, seemingly impenetrable earthen wall looms in front of Uchiha Madara. Card wipe. It's a pity that Tuliubi still doesn't look good enough in front of Sero. In just a moment of impact, the earthen wall was covered with cracks. It seemed that this scene had been expected to happen long ago, and Uchiha Madara didn't change his face. The reason why he summoned the wall of earth is not to block Sero, but to block Gillian's vision. Sure enough, Gillian, who only had the wisdom of the beast, only noticed the earthen wall, and did not look for the figure of Uchiha Madara hidden behind the earthen wall. With this opportunity, the figure of Uchiha Madara disappeared like a ghost. Mere seconds later, the earthen wall shattered and Sero swept across the land. Roar. Gillian was stunned. Apart from roaring, they couldn't find Madara at all. Yin Shu Ugly Mao Yin. Fire style, Phoenix Fire Technique. Countless fireballs suddenly appeared from behind Gillian, smashing their heads fiercely. As Shu, Madara naturally knows that Shu's weakness lies in the mask. Just breaking Gillian's mask is defeating them. It's over. Uchiha Madara leapt into the air holding a snake-shaped long sword, and the sharp blade immediately cut through Gillian's mask. Brush. Repeating the same trick, Madara beheaded the other end of Gillian again by relying on her agility. The Gillians became furious and united Sero again. At this time, not far from the battle place. There is a hidden cave here, transparent and bright. Suddenly, there was a voice. Is this Gillian's roar? At the corner of the cave, a figure stood up. This figure is tall and burly, wearing a black death tyrant outfit and a black cloak with a skull. He wears an antelope-like Arankar mask, making him appear mysterious and powerful. The man's name is Asido. More than 200 years ago, as a Shinigami, he and his companions hunted and killed Shu in a mission. In order to hunt and kill Shu, they entered the forest of Manos Grande to fight together. However, all his companions died in battle one by one. In order to abide by the agreement with his companions, he stayed alone to fight. For so many years, accompanied by endless loneliness and darkness, there is only one thing that supports Asido's belief, for Shinigami's belief. What the hell is going on? Sounds like a Manos Grande riot. Asido was stunned. This situation has not happened for more than 10 years. Could it be? There was a flash of light in Asido's eyes. There are only two situations that can cause such a large-scale riot. The first one is that a new Gillian has awakened his intelligence and will cause a riot in order to devour the same kind. The other scenario is the least likely to happen, and it is also what Asido most hopes to happen. Shinigami appeared in the Manos Grande forest. No matter what, I'm going to have a look. Due to the hunting and killing of countless Shu in the past 200 years, Asido's strength has also improved by leaps and bounds. Even a riot with such a large movement poses no threat to him. Shunbu. Similar to the ninja's body flicker technique, Asido's figure stepped out and disappeared into the dark cave instantly. What's going on? Why do virtuals keep appearing? After beheading the long-headed Gillian in a row, Uchiha Madara found that the number of ghosts not only did not decrease, but increased. At this time, Uchiha Madara realized that his situation is very dangerous. Roar. There was another roar, and then, a Gillian appeared in front of Madara. The huge mouth of the abyss opened, and the red flash condensed. Sero. Just when Madara was about to counterattack with the seal of both hands, an accident happened. A sword shadow flitted across, mercilessly slashing at Gillian's head, easily piercing through the mask of the head. Who are you? Axiondo's cold voice came out, and Madara's face was moved for the first time. Who are you? Asido stood over Gillian's head and asked coldly. Madara's shape is really special, similar to the human form of Susan. Even though the whole body is covered with armor, the flesh and veins can be clearly seen. Is it Shinigami, or virtual? Asido was puzzled. Especially when he saw Uchiha Madara's eyes, he was stunned. The confidence and haki contained in those eyes are by no means what ordinary Hun can possess. Is he really a Shinigami? Asido frowned slightly and asked, are you a Shinigami? Shinigami. Uchiha Madara seemed to think of something, smiled awkwardly, and said, from a certain point of view, I can be called a Shinigami. I am the ghost of the Uchiha clan. Uchiha Madara. Are you really Shinigami? Why can't I feel Zanpakuto's breath from your Reiatsu's Reiatsu at all? The doubts in Asido's eyes grew stronger, and he found that he couldn't see through Uchiha Madara at all. But when Asido looked at Madara again, he finally concluded that Madara was a ghost. It's rare to be able to match Gillian's Reiatsu, but far exceed Gillian's intellect. But, why have I never seen you in the Manos Grande forest? Asido had to sigh with emotion that this was the biggest change he had discovered in the past 100 years. At this time, he was still in the dark, mistakenly thinking that Uchiha Madara possessed this level of intelligence through continuous devouring and evolution. What you said is ridiculous. Uchiha Madara clasped his arms and said with burning eyes, don't compare me with those beasts. Don't ask such boring questions at this time. Instead, I am more interested in your identity. Are you human? Humanity. Asido was stunned. It was hundreds of years, and he heard these two words again. For some reason, Asido's heart seemed to be touched. His eyes dimmed, and he kept recalling the past in his mind. As a Shinigami, he often shoulders the responsibility of defending human beings, guiding and purifying the virtual, and returning them to the soul society. The purpose of doing this is to maintain the balance of the world on both sides, so as to prevent the world from becoming unstable and perishing. This is also the belief that has supported Asido for so many years. For his partner, for his oath, and for the dignity of Shinigami, he chose to stay in the Manos Grande forest alone, just for the oath he made when he entered Jinglingting. Uchiha Madara's words inadvertently awaken Asido's long-lost memory. For the oath, the good old days are gone forever. For his companions, he turned into a hunter in the dark, with blood on his hands. Humans, you actually know about humans. So, have you ever been to reality? Asido's eyes were sharp, and the killing intent in his eyes was undisguised. If Madara ever harmed reality, then no matter what the price is, Asido will kill him. Shinigami, reality, it seems, this world is much more interesting than I imagined. Uchiha Madara held up the snake-shaped longsword, fighting spirit rose in his body, and said, "You are the so-called Shinigami, right? I feel that you have what I need in you. However, it is rare to meet someone, and I really don't want to kill you." Brush. As soon as these words fell, Uchiha Madara's figure disappeared instantly. This is Shunpo. Asido was shocked and couldn't believe what he saw. Shunpo is a trick that only Shinigami knows. It's just a vein, but it actually uses Shunpo. Boom. The next moment, Uchiha Madara appeared in front of Asido, and the snake-shaped longsword in his hand struck at his head. Humph. Asido unhurriedly pulled out Zanpakuto. With a light wave, Zanpakuto easily slashed from the crotch. Even with spiritual wisdom, I still can't change the essence of Shu, it's really cunning. Asido sneered. He held the hilt of the sword with both hands, swung Zanpakuto vigorously, and even started to suppress Uchiha Madara. Cunning. No, this is because of the fighting instinct that comes from seeing a powerful opponent. Uchiha Madara's blood boiled all over, eager to have a hearty battle with Asido. As a man who once stood at the top of the ninja world, only power is his only pursuit. Hado number 4, Shirai. Asido pointed out that Bailei, who gave up singing, pierced Uchiha Madara's arm through a blood hole. Kido technique. Uchiha Madara backed away quickly. He looked down at the blood hole in his arm, silent. Tick, tick. Blood flowed down the blood hole and kept falling to the ground. The crisp sound was like a battle song that touched the soul, once again awakening Madara's inner fighting spirit. He lowered his head slowly, licked the blood on his arm, and swallowed hard. Madara looked up suddenly, with an ecstatic expression on her face. This smell of blood, this pain. I never expected. Finally, I can find the real feeling of fighting. I can finally find the real sense of fighting. Uchiha Madara was ecstatic. The blood flow accelerated, and every cell in the body roared with excitement. A warlike and bloodthirsty man, Madara finally found a decent opponent for the first time in Hueco Mundo. This look, this expression, and this smile are impossible to appear on a Shu. I am really more and more curious about you. Asido didn't want to kill Uchiha Madara, he became more and more suspicious of Madara's true identity. He looked around, and saw more than a dozen corpses fell on the messy ground, the dazzling blood even converging into a river of blood on the ground. More importantly, Asido judged from the scars on Shu's body that Madara shot mercilessly and showed no mercy to his companions. Shu, don't say such childish things anymore. Even the me I am today is not in the same pattern as them. Uchiha Madara sneered disdainfully, and made no effort to conceal the disdain and sarcasm for Shu in his words. Even if there are endless voids in the Manos Grande forest, in his eyes, they are just a group of insignificant ants. It's really arrogance. Being a void but killing the same kind, the void is indeed a cruel species. When mentioning Shu, Asido's eyes filled with a cold light. Killing more Shu was his life's destiny. Therefore, Asido hated Shu Shen. Cruel, that's meaningless to become virtual souls. They are just a group of souls hunting other souls after death. And I just give them meaning in existence. Death is their real destination. So, where did they come from? Cruelty. Uchiha Madara's eyes were burning, and he said, "Do you know what is the most important thing when you are an ant? It's to save yourself as much as possible and accumulate strength to climb up, instead of wasting time and energy on other ants for a moment of anger, especially those ants can cause more troubles to a certain extent. I see, it seems that you are really interesting. Asido's voice is getting deeper and deeper. He has decided to capture Uchiha Madara alive, and then unlock the secrets of Madara. With supercilious eyes, arrogant Haki's words, and unexpected behind him, even if Madara is really a hollow, it is also destined to be extraordinary and ordinary hollow. Shunpo. In just an instant, Asido's figure disappeared from Madara's eyes. This speed. Why does it feel familiar? Uchiha Madara was surprised. He found that Asido's Shunpo was similar to the body flicker technique mastered by ninja, but Shunpo's speed seemed to be faster. Suppressing the doubts in his heart, Uchiha Madara slammed the serpentine long sword and slashed backward. With his natural and sensitive induction, Madara had already predicted that Asido would appear behind him. Sure enough, Asido's figure appeared in the next second. Clang! Seeing the oncoming blade, Asido was shocked. Obviously he was the first to shoot, but it became Uchiha Madara's late striker. It's just that Asido, who has lived in the Manos Grande forest for hundreds of years, retreated. He held the hilt of the sword with both hands and slashed hard, suppressing Uchiha Madara instead. I don't feel any killing intent at all from your eyes. It's really boring to fight against you like this. It seems that you underestimated me. Uchiha Madara was enraged. Looking at the entire ninja world, no one dared to fight with all his strength in front of him. Now that no one underestimates her, this feeling is very uncomfortable. Humph! Uchiha Madara snorted coldly and shook Asido back with force. Si Wei Shen Hai Noon Yin. Fire style, great fireball technique. Because Uchiha Madara formed the seal so fast, Asido didn't even react when he saw a huge fireball hitting him head-on. Is this the Kido technique? And what happened to the seal of his hands just now? Asido's heart was turbulent. He didn't care about the burning fireball, but the six-path spell that Madara had just opened. That was the most mysterious scene that Asido had seen in the Manos Grande forest for hundreds of years. This kind of skillful sealing technique absolutely needs to be practiced thousands of times. He can never be false. Although the Reiatsu on Uchiha Madara is indeed a Reiatsu possessed by a vain head, his intuition tells Asido that Madara's identity may be even more mysterious. Stop it! Arsador jumped back, easily dodging the great fireball. He took back Zanpakuto on his own initiative, and he couldn't wait to unlock the secrets of Madara. You're not fake, are you? Holding the last hope, Asido took the initiative to ask. Uchiha Madara stared at Asido coldly, but didn't respond immediately. He fell into deep thought, and the memories of his previous life came to his mind, making Uchiha Madara feel mixed feelings. Ninjas, villages, fetters, what happened in the previous life is vivid. For some reason, Uchiha Madara felt a little sad. You can say it's me, you can say I'm human, you can even say I'm a ninja. Ninja. Asido was puzzled. It was the first time he heard the name ninja. In this world, there are only Shinigami, Shu, Quincy, and humans, and there are no so-called ninjas. You really are not false. Asido completely withdrew his killing intent. His blade would only be raised towards the brutal and bloodthirsty Shu. Roar. Suddenly, a roar from the depths of the darkness broke the silence again. This roar, it's terrible, let's retreat first. The most taboo thing in the Manos Grande forest is to brazenly fight with the void, which will only open up endless voids. Although Asido was not afraid of these falsehoods, he didn't want to cause unnecessary troubles. After all, after years of precipitation, he had already gotten used to this kind of life. Well, retreat. Uchiha Madara fell into deep thought. Although he was eager to fight, he wanted to unlock the secrets of Asido. It was rare to meet an interesting guy, so naturally he would not let him go easily. Take me away. Perhaps because of his confidence in his own strength, Uchiha Madara is not afraid that Asido will hurt him. Well, go to the lair where I live first, and follow me. Under the leadership of Asido, the ghostly figures of the two kept shuttling through the cracks in the rock, and finally arrived at his cave after passing through many winding gaps. As soon as he stepped into the cave, Uchiha Madara was attracted by the beam of light from the ceiling of the cave. The light beam condensed by Reiatsu is emitting a blazing white light at this moment. More surprised, right, that's right, this is our Shinigami unique Kido. Seeing Uchiha Madara's surprised expression, Asido inadvertently chuckled. Kido. Uchiha Madara looked blank. In fact, he really didn't know Shinigami, Kido at all. I see. It seems that you really have nothing. So, can you tell me where you came from? Asido's emotions became more and more agitated, and his eyes that had been silent for a long time burst into a burst of brilliance. Ninja world. Uchiha Madara embraced her hands, and Haki said in full force, although the ninja world is small, there are no such low-level creatures as Hollow. I see, you really don't belong to this world. Even though he had already guessed, Asido was still extremely shocked. He unexpectedly met a person who traveled from another world. In this way, the previous Uchiha Madara mudra with both hands is perfectly explained. But you are wrong about one point of view. Shu is not inferior, but has unimaginably great potential. The excitement on his face was replaced by seriousness, and Asido patiently explained, the virtual can evolve continuously through devouring, so the virtual has unimaginable potential. Presumably you also know that after the ordinary virtual transforms into Manos Grande, it will step into another world. One level of life. But the Manos Grande is also divided into 3 levels, and all the ghosts you met before are just the lowest Gillian. 3 levels. Uchiha Madara was puzzled. Asido's words seemed to open a door for him, and at the other end of the door was an unprecedented new world. Yes, exactly 3 levels. Gillian, Ejukas, Vasto Lord. The lowest Manos Grande is Gillian. I believe you have fought against Gillian before. They are huge, but their movements are slow, and their IQ is similar to that of wild beasts. They are formed by the spiritual power of a particularly strong void swallowing hundreds of ordinary voids. It needs to evolve by constantly devouring spirits. There was no fluctuation in Uchiha Madara's eyes. With his current strength, hunting down the weakest Gillian was an easy task. The second level of Manos Grande is the Ejukas. When Ejukas was mentioned, even the powerful Asido's face changed slightly. With that level of hypocrisy, even if you pay the price of your life, you may not be able to kill it. Ejukas have high abilities, their IQ is very high, their combat power is several times that of Gillian, and they are responsible for commanding a huge group of G-based forces. Even so, they still need to rely on the continuous devouring of spirits to evolve. Once a higher level Manos Grande bite, it will permanently stop evolving and even be swallowed to become part of the latter's power. Uchiha Madara asked, leading the Gillian group. That's interesting. How strong is Ejukas? Asido squinted his eyes and said solemnly, with the power you have now, if you encounter Ejukas, the death rate is 100%. Uchiha Madara didn't mind, but smiled disdainfully. Don't speak too slowly, how have you ever seen my full power? However, since even Ejukas is so strong, what about Vasto Lord at the highest level? Vasto Lord. Asido took a deep breath, his voice trembling slightly. Even if you look at the whole Hueco Mundo, there are only a few Vasto Lords. In Hueco Mundo, they're even gods. Vasto Lord is a god. Uchiha Madara froze for a moment, then laughed, as if mocking Asido's ignorance. The so-called gods don't exist at all. No one can stand in the sky from the beginning. I can't, you can't, not even that Vasto Lord. All he relies on is nothing but great power, and power is in me. The heyday is so easy to grasp. Uchiha Madara didn't take Vasto Lord seriously at all. He once turned on Rinnegan by becoming 10 Tails Jinchuriki, possessing the power of 6 paths who defy the ninja world. To ordinary ninjas, Uchiha Madara is an invincible deity. But even so, Uchiha Madara failed in the end. Fate is ill-fated, and the world is unpredictable. In this world, there is no god who cannot be defeated, and there is no eternal weak. There is only a thin line between the strong and the weak. The only thing that is truly eternal is power, the power that dominates everything. Maybe, even I haven't really seen Vasto Lord. Asido sighed deeply, recalling his past days in Soul Society. Hundreds of years passed unconsciously. But when hundreds of years have passed, he still can only hide in Hueco Mundo day and night to hunt prey. Is all this really true? Asido didn't know the answer, and he didn't want to find it. To him, it doesn't matter whether it's worth it or not, because when his companion dies in front of him, that star also dies. The only thing that supports Asido's continued survival is his obsession with being a Shinigami. Uchiha Madara seemed to see the sadness in Asido's eyes, and he asked, "Then why are you staying here?" "For what?" Asido murmured in a low voice, only blank in his eyes. Even he himself doesn't know. Yes, what is the purpose of countless guards day and night? Gradually, the scene before stepping into Hueco Mundo came to mind. These hypocrites dared to break into the Soul Society without authorization, unforgivable. For the safety of the Soul Society, for the glory of Gote 13, let's go, let's rush into Hueco Mundo together. Never come back unless we kill these ghosts. Kill, raise the blade of justice in our hands and purify those evil souls. Accompanied by a bold statement and full of enthusiasm, a group of Shinigami dressed in death tyrants rushed into the black cavity with the spirit of seeing death as home. No one noticed that one of the slightly immature figures rushed into Hueco Mundo following their footsteps with enthusiasm. He was Asido. No one would have imagined that this journey would take hundreds of years. When this group of stunned young Shinigami came to Hueco Mundo through the black cavity, they chased and killed the group of ghosts all the way, and finally ran into the Manos Grande forest by mistake. Facing the siege of the Manos Grandes, this group of Shinigami raised their blades without fear, and returned to the Manos Grandes, representing justice and judgment. Blood, killing, howling. In just 2 days, the Manos Grande forest was littered with dead bodies. The scarlet blood even gathered countless rivers of blood on the ground. This line contains not only Shu's blood, but also Shinigami's blood. Although Asido and the others were superior in strength, they were gradually exhausted because they were outnumbered. They underestimated the dangers of the Manos Grande forest. No matter how many heads are killed, it will have no effect. Not only did the number of ghosts not decrease, but it increased. In the end, Asido could only watch his companions fall one by one. Isolation, pain, despair. Whenever the figure of a companion fell before his eyes, Asido felt like a hole was dug in his heart. Constantly bleeding. The expected return of Guy not only did not happen but gradually moved away from them. As time goes by, the only thing Asido can do is to taste the despair brought by blood. When he saw the last companion fell in front of him, at that moment Asido had left with that companion in his heart. When this disaster is over, even though Asido has the strength to return to the Soul Society, he still chooses to stay in the Manos Grande forest. It's not so much to kill more Shu, it's more to escape. Escape from the rhetoric made at the beginning, the glory carried by Gote 13, and the eyes of his companions asking for help before they died. Only the forest of Manos Grande can escape everything and forget the hellish memories of the past. Asido fell into deep thought, his eyes dimmed, leaving only confusion and self-blame. The unbearable memories occupied his heart like a nightmare, forgetting the whole world and all reality. At this point Asido is intoxicated with painful memories from the past. Not everything in this world can go as you wish. The longer you live, the clearer you can see that reality is actually helplessness, pain and emptiness. Uchiha Madara spoke suddenly, and her words were full of loneliness. As a sympathetic person, he could feel the feeling in Asido's heart. Villages, companions, bonds. Uchiha Madara used to have these things too, and they all vanished like Kyoka Suigetsu in the end. In fact, Madara is a person with big love. His essence is to pursue justice, but he chose a more extreme way. Facing a world that has completely lost confidence, Madara chose a very extreme path. Using Infinite Tsukuyomi's method to build an ideal dream world, and the starting point of all this is just for the justice in his heart and the true peace he has been looking for a long time. Even if reincarnated as void, the fetters that occurred in the ninja world in the past not only did not disappear, but became more deeply rooted. What can't be broken is the fetters of the past, and what can't be forgotten is the feeling of being a ninja. Don't lose your fighting spirit in a hurry, otherwise your life that your companion sacrificed so hard for is worthless. If you want to continue to be depressed, then it's up to you, but I will take your life. Because a weak person who lost his goal, has no right to live in this world. These remarks are not casual, Madara is really capable of killing people. Once you lose your fighting spirit and dignity, you can never get it back. Such a person is no different from a sinking star in the desert of Hueco Mundo. Uchiha Madara came to Asido and sneered, "If you want to be strong, don't avoid the fear in your heart. Fear is not a weakness. A strong man wants to make your enemies more fearful than you, do you understand? Becoming a strong man. What's the use of that? Can you get back your former partner? Aceto lowered his head in desolation, bloodshot eyes welling up in his eyes. The scenes that happened that year played back in his mind again and again, and the painful memories made Aceto feel guilty. If I could have the power I have now, perhaps the tragedy would not have happened. Aceto felt guilty and blamed himself, and he took all the responsibilities on him. For the past 200 years, he has lived with such a heavy burden on his back. The only thing that can make him forget the pain is killing, and through constant beheading, Aceto will find the value of his own life. Shinigami, who has lived for hundreds of years, is not even as good as that brat Obito. You have lived to this age, haven't you learned anything from the pain in the past? Madara still sneered mercilessly, but these words came from the heart. He really looked down on Aceto, and would only indulge in guilt and self-blame for the past, which is an act that only weak people would do. No, you don't understand at all. Madara's words became the last straw that broke the camel's back, and the negative emotions accumulated in Aceto's heart for hundreds of years finally broke out. Roaring in rage, he raised his Zanpakuto and slashed at Madara mercilessly. Clang! The corner of Uchiha Madara's mouth raised an arc, as if he had anticipated Aceto's move. He calmly waved the snake-shaped long sword to block the slash, and then said, "Show your strength, show your courage, and prove that you are not a waste who can only indulge in the past. You don't understand at all." Hato's 31 Red Cannon. Aceto pointed his palm at Uchiha Madara, and after giving up singing, a ball of flame burst out suddenly. Oops! Uchiha Madara's pupils shrank suddenly. Even if the power of the red cannon was halved after abandoning the chant, it was not something he could bear now. Fire style, great fireball technique. Madara spat out the great fireball, and collided with the red cannon in midair. Accompanied by a gust of hot wind sweeping all directions, the temperature of the entire cave rose sharply. The result is obvious, the power of the red cannon is even better. However, Madara relied on the body flicker technique to easily dodge, but it was unscathed. Is this the only level? Even if you fall, get up and pick up your dignity. Show off your dignity. This shout hit Aceto's heart like a bolt from the blue. Aceto looked up suddenly. He raised his Zanpakuto and swung his sword at Uchiha Madara. It's just that his arm froze in midair, and most of the bloodshot eyes faded away. Yeah, Uchiha Madara is right, what good is anger? Could killing Uchiha Madara change what happened in the past? Does not. After all, he is nothing more than a coward who chooses to run away because of fear. Dignity. Aceto murmured in a low voice. If Uchiha Madara hadn't mentioned it, he wouldn't have remembered what the two words meant. The years have worn away his will, the world has flattened his vigor, and Aceto has lost the mentality that a strong man should have. Are you willing to stay in this dark place for the rest of your life, killing these rubbish with the so-called excuse of protecting reality? The corner of Uchiha Madara's mouth raised an arc, and he said sarcastically, "Actually, you know very well that after so many years, the number of ghosts has not decreased, but has increased. All of this is just an excuse for you to escape." The reason why Madara can say this with confidence is because he once fought Gillian in the Manos Grande forest, and every time he knocked down a Gillian, another Gillian would appear. The continuous and endless appearance just shows that there are too many ghosts in the Manos Grande forest. In this world, where there is light, there must be shadows. Nuoyi thinks of his own selfishness. If he wants to maintain peace, he will inevitably lead to war. In order to protect love, he breeds remorse. The cause and effect here cannot be cut off. The reality, that's it. A meaningful smile appeared on the corner of Uchiha Madara's mouth, and he could already feel Aceto's will gradually recovering. I see. Maybe I understand. Aceto raised his head, put Zanpakuto back into the scabbard, and said softly, I really didn't expect that there would be more complex emotions than human beings in a virtual body. I can even see a kind of wisdom that sees through the world from his eyes. Shoo, you can call me that. It's just that I won't recognize those beasts without intelligence. Uchiha Madara's eyes are full of contempt. He has reached the level of Sage of Six Paths, how can he be with the humble Shu? It's just that there is a fact before him. No matter how unwilling Madara is to admit it, although he has a human heart, his body is indeed a hollow one. Can you tell me your name? Unknowingly, Asido has regarded Madara as a human being. Uchiha Madara. The name seemed to contain a magical power, which made Asido feel an invisible haki. When I was in the ninja world, no matter who heard the name Uchiha Madara, they would show an expression of admiration and awe. Uchiha Madara, these 4 characters have become unsurpassable legends. It's a very special name. My name is Asido, and I belong to Gote 13. Asido smiled kindly. Gote 13. Uchiha Madara wondered. Even though he had devoured so many empty memories, he had never heard of this name. Hey, it's normal that you don't know Gote 13. Asido became more and more sure that Madara was a soul that traveled from somewhere, and he quickly explained, perhaps your understanding of this world is still vague, so I will tell you everything I know. This world is composed of 3 spaces, which are reality, Hueco Mundo, and Soul Society. Hueco Mundo, as the name suggests, is the place where the virtual lives, and Soul Society is the place where Shinigami lives, which is also my hometown. As for the reality, there are spirits there too, but most of them are ordinary people, they don't have Reiatsu, they can't even see us. Quote. Although I don't know why you became a void, you have the potential to become a Vasto Lord, and you can even become a more powerful void. Because all you need to do is to continue to evolve until the moment of Arankar transformation. Uchiha Madara asked, Arankarization. That's right, once you transform into Arankar, except for the missing heart, you are basically no different from ordinary humans. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.